Welcome back. Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero is expected to lock horns with the city's MMC for Finance, Loyiso Masuku, for the leadership of the ANC in the metro. This will take place at the ANC's regional elective conference, which runs from Wednesday to Friday. Morero is the current chairperson and Masuku is the regional deputy secretary. Both candidates have been on the ground trying to convince branches that they are the right person to take the ANC in Johannesburg to the municipal elections next year. For more, we are now joined by Prof Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who's a political analyst and acting director of the Center for Security, Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nelson Mandela University. Prof, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Perhaps maybe let's just begin in unpacking why this upcoming ANC regional elective conference is so pivotal for the party, especially given the city's political landscape.
I think simply because where the ANC has been dealt with a blow, it is in urban centers, largely because of the huge middle class that doesn't vote in relation to liberation credentials, that votes in relation to public policy issues and service delivery track record. And I think the ANC has fallen short on that score. Therefore, to answer your question, why is this conference important? It's important because the ANC has a task of regaining the ground that it has lost. So it needs to have a kind of leadership that will be able to be in touch with the people at grassroots level and be able to take them into confidence. Hopefully make sure that the ANC bounces back to power. But the interesting thing again for me is that from a critical standpoint is that both contenders, they belong to the mayoral committee. The other one is the incumbent. And my reading of the situation is that, as I indicated earlier on, the ANC has been on the back foot in terms of rendering services. And in opposition to that, there have been protesters, there have been discontentment, there have been unhappiness. So I'm not sure if either way it will be someone who will help the ANC to participate in the upcoming local government elections and help the party to win.
So Prof, from your thinking, do you think the emergence of a different leadership would assist the ANC within Johannesburg in ensuring that they capture the elective conference for next year?
I think that's the question. Look, the brand ANC has been affected due to a whole range of things. That's why, for instance, in the electoral shortfalls of the ANC, the downward electoral trajectory started in 2016 when the ANC was dislodged from the helm of power, and it never recovered from that because of institutionalization of corruption. So the brand has been dealt with a blow in a big way. But I think for me, maybe it will help if you bring in a breath of fresh air as opposed to the incumbent that is in power. Because, even the president of the country before the G20 that was hosted by the city of Johannesburg, of course, by the national government, there were serious concerns that were raised by the in terms of how dirty is the city and so on.
So it seems as though there's these two factions that are vying for the helm of Johannesburg. Morero's one being referred to as the unity slate, which includes Lebogang Shabalala, who's vying for secretary, Nomoya Musi, who's looking to be the deputy secretary, Maxwell Nzama is looking to be the regional treasurer, and with Loyiso, if ever is elected, would then be the first female ANC mayor for the city of Johannesburg. And her slate comprises of a number of people who are currently within the regional council, that being Sasabona, who's the regional secretary, and Masilo Serigelo, who's currently the deputy, who's currently the spokesperson, but is vying for the deputy chairperson position. How do you think this factional dynamic works in terms of influencing the outcomes of such internal party elections?
Well, first of all, to me, it's a sad state of affairs when people don't vote on merit but vote in relation to factionalism, because people must be looked at in relation to their leadership capabilities as opposed to which faction they belong to. Because at the end of the day, I think you want the ANC to be the winner in theory. But when you vote in relation to slates, that tells me that then the party doesn't come first, but the interest of the faction comes first. So that would be the challenge. But it looks like in practice, not in theory, Dada Morero might be having an upper hand, given the fact that he's from the city of Johannesburg, as opposed to I think Loyiso Masuku, who might be coming maybe from the Eastern Cape. Those politics, they also matter too, in terms of who should lead. I'll be very surprised if she wins, because it looks like the odds are. I mean, of course, she's putting a good fight, but yeah, there are other dynamics of geopolitics as well.
Well, she's been dubbed as the people's choice. In fact, her slate has been dubbed the people's choice. So are you saying that there really isn't a possibility of the ANC seeing a first female mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg?
But the counter argument is that the ANC has always had 50-50. So what is the issue? But of course, I mean, the issue of gender is very important. But some people say that, but it's not a new thing. The ANC has always had that practice of, I don't want to say put women on top, but of having women in strategic positions.
I mean, Johannesburg is the economic hub of our country. How does this leadership choice, do you think, would influence the city's governance and just its economic prospects going forward?
That's another thing, because I can bet my bottom dollar either way. The problem with the ANC, sometimes there's this mentality of the winner takes all, right? Those who have won at regional level, they tend to purge those who were standing against them in the mayoral committee. Again, it's not something that is done on merit, but it's something that is done to purge people, to put people who have a similar line of thinking. It makes the ANC the biggest winner, because the ANC then means that it doesn't come first. It's the interest of personalities that come first. Or sometimes you find that the local state is being used to dish out favors to henchmen in exchange for support, in order for those who might have won to hold on to power, or to pay back those who might have helped those who won to garner votes.
What do you think then, beyond this conference, would be the key issues that the new leadership would have to address in order to restore that confidence within the ANC?
I think the most important thing now, given the fact that we are in the build-up to local government elections, is to help the ANC to regain the ground it has lost, to make sure that the ANC connects with the branches, because the ANC's electoral performance has been dismal, especially in urban centers, again, covering the period of 2016 until to date. So, and if there is strong leadership at local government level, that also will feed into the upcoming general elections, which might help the ANC to have an upward electoral trajectory. So, yeah, they really need to think rationally in terms of what kind of leadership will emerge out of this conference.
And I'm sure a lot would then be at stake, like you mentioned, for the ANC, not just at a regional level, but at a provincial and ultimately at a national level, when we're then looking into the next national elections.
Of course, but also besides that, you also need a kind of leadership that will shake the foundations of the ANC, because there is a lot that is not right in the ANC. You need people who are going to shape the policy trajectory of the ANC. I think the ANC is going to hold an NGC just around the corner. So you need capable leaders who are going to participate in those discourses, because there will be a lot of intellectualization now going forward in terms of what should be the policy trajectory of the party. But also you need people who are going to be the embodiment of the party. You know, if you have leaders that others who are followers don't look up to, then you have a problem. So you need the kind of leadership that the followers can look up to, that can inspire people.
And I mean, we've already seen some of the mayoral candidates for cities such as Ekurhuleni as well as the city of Tshwane. Do you think the ANC, in possibly putting either a Morero or a Masuku for the city of Johannesburg, would have tough competition with what we then see from other political parties?
My view is that, you know what had happened in, I think, the city of Tshwane, when I think I forgot the person's name, but there was a situation whereby Toko Didiza was plugged in, and I think it was Makura, if I'm not mistaken, pulled out. That led to a deep-rooted conflict between the leadership of the ANC and the branches of the ANC, because they took a decision that went against the position of the branches. So it will be a miscalculation to deploy someone just because the person is a national figure, but is not someone who comes from the branches organically, just because they want to counter what the DA has done, right? So they also need to think about that any name that is put forward, it must be a name that has emerged organically from the branches of the ANC. But my view is that it doesn't matter which name you put forward. The challenge is the brand ANC. It has been really affected by a whole range of things, in particular institutionalized corruption. And yeah, it will take a lot of doing to convince people to vote for a party. I'm not saying that nothing has changed, but that has not done the way it should have.